Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, the Executive Director of Rock Solid Families.
And I'm Merrill Hutchinson, President of Rock Solid Families. And we are excited to have you join us as we talk all things faith, family, and fitness. A special thanks to Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency for their support of Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community one family at a time. Welcome to Rock Solid Radio. Hey, this is Merrill Hutchinson coming to you, and I am so glad to be done with that last show, Miss Linda Hutchinson as my favorite partner.
What's wrong?
Oh, you made me confess all my sins.
Oh, last week, I know, it was a little brutal, but that wasn't that bad, hon.
No. I'm just having some fun. But, you know, the whole idea of just trying to be transparent and coming clean on different things, is always an act of what we have to do, especially when we're trying to build trust in relationships. So
if you didn't listen to last week's show, I mean, we talked about being naked and afraid, so maybe you should go back and listen.
Yeah, that'll get you going.
But we're going a whole different direction today. Actually, we're going to have some fun, hon, because today, this week, this month is our anniversary. It's been 2 years.
2 years at Rock Solid Families.
Oh, it's not our wedding anniversary,
Yeah. Well, Wait, 5 kids in 2 years? No, that's not working.
With the oldest being 29, that might not go over well.
That's not working. Yeah. So this is the 2-year anniversary, at least in our office space. Mm-hmm. We had it's actually about 2.5 years in terms of things moving more instrumentally behind the scenes, but in our office space.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
And also for Rock Solid Radio, it's 2 years.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we finally had an office space because I was having clients meet with me in the library, at the coffee shop, at the park, and that was getting harder and harder. So I'm thankful for our space where it's just confidential and close to us, for sure.
So a big part of Rock Solid Families and our ministry, hon, is exactly what we're doing here today, the Rock Solid Radio, the podcast. And we just think it's important. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Yeah. These are things that, as your listeners out there, that, we hope that you take an interest in what we're doing. This is more than just hopefully giving you information each week, but it's more about the idea that we all believe that this is a worthy mission in terms of families and marriages. And so we ask that you hang in there with us today and see what we're creating as a vision, what God's laying on our heart, with the idea that we're going to stick around and continue to build families in the community, and we need you to do that as a listener out there. Yeah,
but before we do, hon, we better thank our sponsors, because Maxwell Construction has been with us since the very beginning of Rock Solid Radio, and we are so thankful for their support. They care about our community, and they want to invest in strong and healthy families. And Maxwell Construction was founded in 1988 by John Maxwell, and since that time, Maxwell Construction has grown and expanded to become one of the most recognized commercial construction companies, honey, in the Cincinnati tri-state area. So if you have any kind of commercial construction need, call Maxwell Construction today at 812-537-2200.
Yeah, and all of this time of questioning what the economy is going to do in business, we just had the opportunity to meet the other day with Randy Maxwell, and they are busy.
Yeah,
so a lot of good stuff going on for Maxwell Construction, and we like to see that not just for them, but for the sake that our community is growing, and that's a good thing for us. We also want to thank Mansfield Insurance Agency. Mansfield Insurance Agency began in 1981 by its founder, Jim Mansfield, and he is dedicated, and their whole agency is dedicated to serving the individuals and businesses in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. So if you have an insurance need, call Mansfield Insurance Agency today at 800-230-3927.
Hun, some people don't even know that we teach fitness classes here in our St. Leon, Indiana office 6 days a week. And so because of the month of October is kind of our anniversary month for Rock Solid Radio and Rock Solid Families, we're having a fitness special. So now's the time, if you've never joined us for a fitness class, to give it a try. Fitness packages now are $10 off for the month of October, and your very first class is always free to give it a try. So it's kind of getting a little colder out, hun. And the days are kind of getting
I've
shorter.
already started on my winter weight gain.
Oh, no, honey,
Isn't
that's
that
not
great?
good.
Yeah.
That's not a really great commercial for
it's
finishing
not.
either.
No, it's more about the statement of my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I need to shut it down. All of a sudden, the fall treats are coming around, and I need to shut it down.
You have been bad, man.
Well, you know what? When you're just enjoying all the fun, and
it's that sugar.
Yes. So we gotta get a grip on that and turn it back down.
Speaking of finishing, hun, there's probably some folks out there who have no idea what finishing is. Can you give them a 30-second blurb of what
30
finishing?
seconds. No, I'm going to do the whole story.
Holy cow.
No, finishing is an exercise that I created back in 2010 to 2012 is actually when it came to be. And it just came together due to an injury that I had. And since that time, it has just grown into something that we see helping people both in the rehab world as well as the fitness world. That's what we use it for primarily is fitness. So it's a full body workout, and it has a fantastic combination of strengthening and cardio conditioning, which is an important component. So definitely check us out, see what you think about that. We usually tell people, give us 2 or 3 visits on that before you make a call.
It's kind of like riding a bike.
It's very different than what you've seen out there in other places.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of learning.
You have a Facebook page that's still up called The Finisher.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows you some of the exercises. But basically, you're sliding weights on a board instead of lifting weights. So, hun, it is so awesome to see folks who maybe would not be working out at all, giving it a try because it's safe. It's safe regardless of your age, your fitness level, your desire, how bad you want to get fit.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. So
well, you'll hear a lot of personal trainers say, I never really train the motion of a sport. I just train people to get stronger, and I let their sport train them to get stronger in their patterns for their sport. And finishing is very different in that way, in that we take athletic patterns that you do, whether it's rotation or push-pulls or whatever, and we actually load not your body. So the table holds that. And so we load the table, and you have to move that weight. So your body has to address that. So it's very different, and it's good in that way. And so we have other products coming along with that as well. We're actually waiting on a patent. We have a patent pending on another product that is related to the finishing work that we do. And hopefully we're going to hear something here in the next month or two. It's a long time to get a patent.
Yeah, you can tell you're the personal trainer because you're starting to talk like...
Oh, well, you said 30 seconds.
Physiologically.
3 minutes. That's not bad.
So as we said at the top of the show, it is our anniversary. It's been 2 years since we launched Rock Solid Radio. And so maybe you've been listening to us since the beginning. Bear with us if you have been, because we're going to take a couple moments just to reminisce, hon. 2 years ago. Gosh, 2 years ago.
We had the idea that we wanted to do something because we know in our work, being able to see people face to face is critical, but it only is limited by the number of hours in the day and the people that we have in our office. That's you and I. And so the bigger deal for Rock Solid families is actually getting the conversation. You're going to hear us talk about that all the time. Getting the conversation to the forefront of everybody's minds in your conversation about the importance of family. We were just actually talking to our daughter the other day about a potential boyfriend. and we actually even said to her,
I think you were talking to her about
I may have been actually. And
You're planting ideas.
Well, I made the comment that if you really are looking for a guy, the best way to really help you screen out guys is see what kind of dad that guy has. And I don't say that jokingly, because I always knew that if I mistreated a woman, it wasn't going to be the woman that I was going to be in trouble with. It was going to be my own dad.
Yeah.
My own dad would have hung me up. And so that is part of our work of keeping this conversation going, keeping families connected in this way. And we say this all the time, but the statistics really are our biggest advertisement. The statistics for broken homes and kids in trouble and just crime, violence, all these different things are connected back to family.
Yeah. So, 2 years ago, we went on the air on Eagle Country Radio, Sunday nights from 7:30 to 8. And we talked to Hun about the good, the bad, and the ugly of relationships. So we did faith and family and fitness. And so we spent a year on the radio, thus the name Rock Solid Radio. But we're so grateful for that opportunity we had to establish a base of listeners, and I think, Hun, earn the right to be heard.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I think the important part too, Hun, is that we have a good base of listeners, followers. Our sponsors have been true to us, and because they believe in this message as well. And I think it's really important that we continue to seek that sort of support out with people, because we don't. This is not just on you and I.
Yeah, and so it was kind of scary. A year ago, we took the leap of faith, and we actually left the radio to just launch a podcast.
Yeah.
And we asked our sponsors, would you take this leap of faith with us? Would you trust us enough to come alongside us? And they were willing to ride this wave with us and join us on this podcast journey. So if you're listening out there as a podcast right now, which is the only way to listen because we're not on the air anymore, we want to thank you, because you have allowed us this second year to not only continue Rock Solid Radio, but also launch a second weekly podcast that you do called Strong Dads.
Right. And that's one that we focus on the dad side of things. So that kind of pertains a little bit more to what I was just saying earlier about my daughter choosing a boyfriend that has a strong dad. So, Hun, let's talk for a little bit over the past 2 years. And we don't want to act like we've only been coaching and counseling people for 2 years. We've actually, between the two of us, have over 60 years in doing this. But in the past 2 years, let's maybe talk about some different things that we see, some trends that we see just in our community here, Southeast Indiana, Southwest Ohio, Northern Kentucky, that come our way. What are some trends that you see? Yeah,
and that's funny because we recently had someone ask us that, and it was kind of interesting to stop and think about what are we seeing. And, and this is not just us. This is a national trend, is that we are now in the third generation of faithlessness. When I was a children's minister 20 years ago, we saw at least grandparents bringing their grandchildren to church. Right. Now those grandparents didn't even grow up with any kind of faith background. And so there's this real disconnect to a faith foundation. There's also a disconnect in communication with couples, I think. They don't have the healthy tools to resolve conflict. They don't even know where to go when they feel overwhelmed. So, Hun, I think last week our podcast on True Confessions, we really talked about the importance of transparency and honesty. And, many don't even know how to do that.
Right.
What have you been seeing?
So a trend that I think I've seen is, and I'm going to touch back on kind of what you said, the idea that we are now multiple generations of sliding further away from God. And when I say further from God, I mean the family based on a God foundation. And because of that, you have more, I'll refer to it as human decision-making, human feelings that come into play of how people are making decisions, whether they're how they're going to stay in a marriage or not, how they're going to stay connected to their work or not, how they're going to commit and be strong in things. And so we see a lot more, I'll just sort of refer to it as more wishy-washy decision-making.
Blown around.
And because of that, in the moment, that always makes sense. We've talked about this all the time. You and I, we never have any problem rationalizing any decision that we make.
Especially like eating candy.
Well, I know you have that problem, honey, but not me, right? Yeah, and so it's just that idea that we have less integrity in our decision-making, especially as it's grounded to God's Word. And again, this is not finger-pointing out by you and I. So here's why this is a big deal and a trend that we are seeing. If we saw this trend and everything, all the vital statistics for our culture seem to be on the upswing, seem to be on the positive, then we really wouldn't be questioning.
That's a great trend. It's
a good trend. But what we're seeing is the vital statistics for our the culture health are just breaking records every year.
Sliding down.
Breaking bad records.
Yeah.
And so this is what just tells you and I think this is what brings the fire to the passion to why we have to get grounded back in the integrity of our decision making.
Yeah.
This is why it's not
what
political.
We're building it on.
This is why it's not what Hollywood is showing us. That's why we avoid all of those things, because those are the things that make it even worse. We have to get grounded back in God's word. And, until that we start to see that trend swing back the other way, our work is plentiful.
Yeah, we could be busy as we want. That reminds me of a couple that I worked with recently, and I actually just wrote an article about them. I asked their permission, Allie and Rob, young premarital couple, hun. They came in, they were hungry, they were giddy about their upcoming wedding. We've worked with premarital couples for decades, right? And so it's not uncommon for us to see giddy couples, but there was something really different about these two.
They still like each other.
They still liked each other. But hun, I'm telling you, there was something very serious about their approach. Like they wanted to get this right. And especially Allie. Allie had grown up in a church, but then kind of fallen away. And man, even before she was engaged, she knew she needed a faith foundation. So she had sought that out for herself. And she was attending alone. But her boyfriend really wasn't buying what she was selling. But hun, when he walked in, he was just like, okay, what do I need to do to make this right? What do I need to do to have a happy, successful, healthy family? So his eyes and his heart and his mind were open, and he would say he loved God. And his family was an awesome family, but they weren't really churchgoers. They really didn't put their faith into action. And so just walking alongside them and helping them see that they could create this faith foundation that would be unshakable for them. And they wanted to start a family, so not just for them, but for their kids. And so, hun, it's been so cool to see Allie and Rob kind of dig deep and kind of lean in and look up and trust that God has got them. And it's been really cool. They gave their lives to Christ. They committed their lives to each other in marriage. And now, hun, they've got a new one coming on the way. So we're so excited about that. But
the next generation in making.
And that they're starting this faith foundation, this legacy that they're going to be able to build on that's unshakable. So it's just really exciting to see couples like that, like Allie and Rob, just really get it and want that for their family. Maybe something they never had before.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
I had a story, just a younger gentleman. Actually, I had him as a student
in an elementary school.
Elementary school, and he got into some trouble. And Jake is okay with me sharing that part of the story as well, because as he got older, Jake is exactly why we do what we do, because Jake, his parents split, and again, that's. We're not going to talk about that, but that splitting, all of a sudden, Jake lost a lot of his steering.
Footing,
like the guidance. And definitely mom is still and was very involved. But, as any junior high boy starts to be, they kind of want to start to explore the world and fit in and be cool and all of these different things. And Jake did just that. To the point where he was being very influenced by the ways of the world and started dabbling into the drug scene and other things, and finally got himself in very significant trouble.
Yeah.
And so we had the opportunity to work with Jake, and the turnaround story on him is really cool. Jake is a guy that hangs out with us now quite a bit, and he's like, I look at the world completely differently now.
Yeah.
Now every day is an opportunity for me to build relationships and to see what I'm capable of. And so he's discovering things about himself that he really didn't even know, his own gifts and talents. So it's that kind of reason. And even the relationships that we're talking about with him, Jake now sees a reason for why he has to commit to relationships. Because it was the broken relationships in his own home that allowed him to wander.
I love Jake, and I'm so excited for him in the future because now he kind of sees what he's building his life on, what that foundation looks like. So,
good stuff.
hun, it's so good to look back and remember where we came from, but it can also be dangerous if you get stuck there. If Jake would get stuck in his past and his mistakes, if Allie and Rob kind of looked at themselves as victims, if they didn't get a chance or they didn't have this growing up. But that's why we have a big windshield and a little rear view mirror.
You read that in a book somewhere.
I don't know who said that, but I love that. Like the windshield is so big as we're moving forward, and the rear view mirror is so little. And so where are we going, hun? What does 2021 look like for Rock Solid Radio, Rock Solid Families?
So we're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing.
Where are we going?
I think one of the things in terms of messaging that we continue to want to drive just in all of our work that we do, whether you come in here to get personal coaching or whether you read a blog or whether you listen on the podcast shows, we are all about God helping you with your personal responsibility.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everything that you and I do, hon, there's not a person that comes through that doesn't have a challenge with taking personal responsibility for where they are
Buck stops
and
with you.
moving forward. And so I think that is just, and it's so empowering when you finally look at somebody and they go, yeah, you mean I can do this?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you can do it.
You don't have to be a victim.
Yeah, and so that is going to be the underpinnings of our messaging, personal responsibility. I think if we saw personal responsibility by every person in this country, you really would not be seeing
a lot of the
issues
problems
that you see. So
that's true.
that is the underpinning. And so in doing that, we want to continue to preach the message. One of the ways that we're going to be doing that is we are creating our recording studio.
Yeah.
So right now we kind of do things a little bit like in my office, and it's not very sound worthy. So we've actually, I'm finishing up building a recording studio. We're also going to be able to have a video option for that. So the idea that you get to see our our wonderful, beautiful
I know. I might have to shower and
well,
make sure my hair.
As I sit here right now, I'm kind of in old ripped up
You
jeans.
are. You got paint.
I've got work to do, honey.
I know. And actually, you're going to be. It's in our basement. We're going to be doing the sound studio, so you got to finish that. So
I know. Yeah. So I'm actually getting ready to go do a little bit more work
to
on
do.
That right now.
For sure.
So that is one big thing that we've got
coming
coming in 2021.
We have a YouTube channel, but we're going to expand in that and put all of our blogs, turn them into vlogs, and put them on YouTube. We're hoping we can reach people where they're at.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are there.
What's some other stuff, hon, that we're going to cook
well,
up
we
here?
know that we are not great marketers. And so we continue to work on expanding our reach. So this upcoming year, we're really focusing on better marketing strategies. We've got some help with that. We're revamping our website because we see, my gosh, the hits we get on our website are beyond even our podcasts.
Right.
So we have the opportunity to reach families where they're at. And so we need to do that better. And we also have got some amazing partners that believe in this mission with us. And we're so thankful for the many businesses and churches and families who have partnered with us because, hon, they believe in it too, you know?
Yeah. And hon, another thing that you've done a good job of, and we want to continue to try to expand, is to get more connected to the grants that are available. A lot of times we act like we want to play the victim and that, well, there's no resources for this, there's no money. And there really is. You just have to hunt and work a little harder. And so exploring and developing more grant writing is something that we intend to do. Just because at the end of the day, all of it goes to helping to get this message out.
Yeah. We've been blessed the past 2 years really with some grants from area foundations, donor advisory funds, personal trusts. Hon, we recently were awarded a COVID United Way grant, which we're very excited about. Funds like these allow us to walk alongside individuals and couples and families in their time of need, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, and help them regardless of their ability to pay. So we're here. We believe there's hope and help for everyone.
Hon, the important part about partnership is that, and we want to be very clear about this, we're not really looking for government subsidy to keep us afloat.
No.
We want you personal partners to believe in the mission enough that you say, you know what, we don't want this mission, we don't want this conversation to go dormant or even die. And so that's why we love reaching out and get personal individuals, people that say, we love what you're doing or we like your words. And so that's why, just getting a generic sort of government help, that's not what we go after. It's not what we go after. We go after people because we want people to believe in people.
Yeah, and actually, hon, government would shut us down because we believe in the unshakable, rock-solid foundation that's worth building on. Our home, our family, our life. His name is Jesus Christ, and the government's really not up for that. Everything else we feel is sinking sand. And so we know alone we can only do so much, so little much. But together with Christ in the center of it all, with our partners that believe in this mission too, we can do, hun. Here's my life verse, Ephesians 3:20 and 21. We are able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine because it's his power at work in us.
Yeah.
And to him, by the way, be the glory. We
and
cannot
I think
steal
that's
the glory.
The glory goes to him, because if it was just up to us, we would certainly be running short on this. So in the 2 years, hun, that we've been able to work, just think about this if you're thinking about whether what we do is important. In 2 years, we've had over 328 different families that we have worked. Worked with. That doesn't mean everyone came out beautiful. It means that they sought out help, and we helped provide guidance, direction, and that kind of thing. And so when you talk about doing immeasurably more, we want to be able to do more. And whether it's face-to-face or whether it's through messaging like we're doing here, we really want to see those numbers go bigger.
Yeah. Some, hun, were maybe just for one session and they didn't buy what we're selling. I can think of different couples and families that were kind of like, nope, don't believe this God thing. And so I believe that that time wasn't wasted. That we planted a seed that maybe someone else someday will water. But, hun, we've walked alongside some individuals, some couples, some families, some all of the above. We've worked with every member of the house individually or together. And we've had the privilege of walking alongside some during their darkest times, during death, during divorce, during, prison time, addictions, some of them for more than one season, so we're very thankful. Thank you for trusting us with your story. Thank you for believing in this mission and just walking alongside us. So 328, hun, our old preacher used to say all the time that every number has a name and every name has a story and every story matters to God. So every one of those 328 households, that's just in the last 2 years. And some of them, again, like I said, we've worked with for months and years together on. That doesn't even count our fitness clients, by the way. The folks that we see just
those
for working out.
Daily basis, So those are some things that we're looking forward to, getting excited about, want to keep on beating the drum for. But one of the things I think that is very important, that when you hear about Rock Solid Families and Rock Solid Radio and Strong Dads, one of the things that we don't want to have change is what we are founded on, founded in, and
what's not going to change.
Matthew 7:24. On this house we will build this rock, or on this rock we will build this house. You get it. You get what I'm saying there. So building our house on the rock. And so one of the things that we do not want to see change, I mentioned earlier, hun, about the idea that the integrity in our decision making is faulted, and it's the integrity meaning, it's not the right thing. It tends to produce bad fruit, disrupted fruit. And so one of the things that we don't want to see change is the idea that we aren't going to change, that our word needs to be grounded in God's word. And so we're not perfect at this. And I think the other thing I want to make sure that doesn't change is the idea that we are always a work in progress.
Yes.
I mean, you and I personally, in that you've never arrived.
So if you hear us say that we have,
no,
then
we're lying.
Turn us off or call us out, because we definitely are not.
You never arrive. It is a process. And so I think that's part of, and I think that's one reason why a lot of people give up on their faith, because they feel like they're supposed to arrive somewhere, like it's supposed to be finished and they finally can celebrate it. And it's every day, like, you wake up one day and you're like, oh man, things are good. And then all of a sudden the next day you're like, how could things go so south so fast? So the idea that we just have to be humble, and that is what allows us to say, God, I need you every day, whether it's sunshiny or rainy.
Yeah, and we tell people all the time, we don't have a magic pill. We don't have a special formula. We believe the answer to our ailing nation and our hurting families is the hope of Jesus Christ. He is the Prince of Peace. Hun, I was driving the other day. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was just gorgeous. The blue sky, the green, and then the pop of the color. And hun, as I am literally just driving down the expressway, I was just shouting out, God, you are the Prince of Peace. God, you are the King of Kings. You are our wonderful counselor. You are our author of life.
I'd like to drive up along next to you when you're saying all that.
Sometimes I have my hands in the air, at least one, He is the giver of joy, and his name is Jesus Christ. And if you've been trying to fix your problems without him, good luck, because it's like driving a car without the gas. I believe, at least.
Yeah, or the steering wheel. That's even worse.
I do keep my hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I do.
So we want to wrap things up, and we want to close things up by saying a big thank you. But in saying that, the work is still there, and so you are part of our work. So our challenge for you is, as we go into our next season, that we ask that you look into your next season.
Yeah.
How about you? How are you doing? How are things going in your world? How are you grounding yourself? And so we ask you to look into your life, do some reflective check-in and see, how's my marriage?
Yeah.
How are my kids doing? How am I relating in my friendships, in my family?
Yeah.
And the idea that you would just take some time to sit back and see how you can realign yourself with God and His Word. Well, how about some new goals for, I need to do a little bit better job of how I'm spending my time, or how I'm talking to my spouse, how I'm putting in my day's work with my employer. These are some challenges that we want to throw your way.
Yeah, because none of this, by the way, is possible without him. I mean, he's the reason why we're here. He's the reason why you're here. And he has an amazing plan for your future. I love, Jeremiah 29:11, because I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. So God has got an amazing plan for your life. He's got an amazing plan, I believe, for Rock Solid families in the future. And we're going to trust in him to show us the way. But we're going to be faithful. We're going to be obedient to doing it his way.
We're going to try.
I've
never been very good at being totally obedient, but we're trying. I'm a work in progress.
Yeah. So as we begin year 3, we again want to say thank you to our sponsors for helping make Rock Solid Radio possible. Thank you to Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency for their support.
So we want to thank all of our listeners and supporters to Rock Solid Radio, helping us to build a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Rock Solid Radio. For help or more information about what you've heard on today's show, contact us at rocksolidfamilies.org or call us at 812-576-ROCK. That's 812-576-ROCK. Again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Maxwell Construction and Mansfield Insurance Agency. If you have questions you'd like answered on our show, or you want to chime in on something you heard, go to our Facebook page, Rock Solid Families. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to tune in next week for another episode of Rock Solid Radio. I'm Linda Hutchinson, and for my husband Merrill and I, thanks for tuning in to Rock Solid Radio, building a stronger community, one family at a time.